Cancer love. The standard you must keep, even if it's hard. If you are a Cancer and you have been wondering why love keeps testing you in ways that feel deeply personal, this is the message that will finally make sense of it all. There is a standard inside of you that you have always carried. You did not learn it from anyone. It lives in the way you love, the way you give, and the way you protect the people who matter to you. But here is the problem: that standard has been challenged over and over again. People have asked you to lower it. Situations have pressured you to abandon it. And in some moments you almost did. You almost convinced yourself that expecting depth, loyalty, and emotional honesty was too much to ask for. You almost believed that the way you love was the reason things did not work out. But that was never true. The truth is, your standard is not the obstacle. It is the answer. And this video is going to walk you through exactly why keeping that standard, even when it is hard, even when it is lonely, even when the world tells you to settle, is the single most important thing you will ever do for your love life. Stay with me through every tip. What you hear by the end will change the way you see yourself and every relationship that has ever touched your life. Tip 1. Your emotional depth is not a flaw. It is your greatest advantage in love. Let me start here because this is where everything begins for you. As a Cancer, you feel things in a way that most people simply cannot understand. You do not just experience emotions on the surface. You absorb them. You carry them. You let them settle deep into your bones until they become part of who you are. And for a long time you may have been told, directly or indirectly, that this is a problem, that you are too sensitive, that you take things too personally, that you need to toughen up and stop letting love affect you so much. But here is what nobody told you while they were busy criticizing the way you feel. Your emotional depth is the very thing that makes you capable of the kind of love most people only dream about. Think about that for a moment. While others are guarding themselves, building walls, keeping one foot out the door, you are standing right there in the middle of it all, willing to feel everything. That takes more courage than most people will ever have. The ones who call you too emotional are usually the ones who are terrified of their own feelings. They project their fear onto you because your openness reminds them of what they are not brave enough to do. And over time, their words may have started to stick. You may have started to believe that your sensitivity was the reason love did not work out. But that is not what happened. What happened is that you gave your emotional depth to people who did not have the capacity to receive it. That is not your flaw. That is their limitation. Your ability to feel deeply is what allows you to create real intimacy. It is what allows you to sense when something is wrong before a single word is spoken. It is what makes you the person everyone turns to when they need comfort, when they need honesty, when they need someone who actually listens. In a world that is constantly rushing past real connection, you are the one who slows down and says, "No, I want to feel this. I want to understand this. I want to be present for this." That is not weakness. That is a rare and extraordinary strength. And the right person, the one who is truly meant for you, will not ask you to dim that light. They will stand in awe of it. They will feel grateful every single day that they found someone who loves with that much depth and sincerity. So stop apologizing for the way you feel. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into relationships that were never big enough to hold you. Your emotional depth is not the problem. It never was. It is the very thing that will lead you to the love you have always deserved. And the moment you stop treating it like a burden and start treating it like the gift it truly is, everything in your love life will begin to shift. You are not too much. You are exactly what real love requires. And the sooner you believe that, the sooner the right person will walk into your life and prove it to you. Tip 2. Stop accepting half love from people who only show up when it is convenient for them. This is one of the hardest lessons for you. And I know that because I understand how your heart works. When you love someone, you do not do it halfway. You do not check in once a week and call it connection. You do not send a quick message and disappear for days. When you are in, you are all the way in. You think about that person constantly. You plan for them. You create space in your life for them. You adjust your schedule, your priorities, your energy, all to make room for the relationship to grow. And because you give at that level, you naturally expect the same in return. Not because you are demanding, not because you are needy, but because you understand that love is not supposed to be one-sided. It is supposed to be a mutual exchange of care, attention, and effort. But here is where things get painful for you. Too many times, you have given that level of devotion to someone who only showed up when it was easy, They were there when the mood was light, when things were fun, when they needed something from you. But the moment things got real, the moment you needed them to step up, to be present, to hold space for your emotions the way you always held space for theirs, they vanished. Or worse, they made you feel like you were asking for too much. And you stayed. You stayed because you believed in their potential. You stayed because you remembered the good moments and convinced yourself that those moments were the real version of that person. You stayed because walking away from someone you love feels like tearing a piece of yourself away. But I need you to hear something clearly right now. Half love is not love. It is a negotiation. It is someone giving you just enough to keep you around, but never enough to make you feel truly valued. And you were not built for that. Your heart was designed for depth, for consistency, for the kind of love that shows up on the hard days just as much as the easy ones. When someone only reaches out when they are lonely, that is not love. When someone only says the right things after you have expressed your hurt, that is not love. When someone disappears for days and then returns as if nothing happened, that is not love. Love is steady. Love is reliable. Love does not make you question where you stand every other week. And you already know this. Deep down, you have always known this. The challenge for you is not recognizing half love. You can feel it the moment it starts. The challenge is having the courage to walk away from it. Because walking away from someone you care about, even someone who is not treating you well, goes against everything in your nature. You are a nurturer. You are a healer. You want to fix things, to make them better, to give people one more chance. But some people do not need another chance. They need a consequence. And the consequence of treating your love as optional is losing access to it entirely. That is not cruelty. That is self-respect. And it is long overdue. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. Your intuition already knows. Learn to trust it before the evidence arrives. There is something about you that sets you apart from almost every other sign when it comes to love, and it is something that cannot be taught, can only be honored. Your intuition. As a Cancer, you have an inner knowing that operates on a completely different frequency than logic. You can walk into a room and feel the tension before anyone speaks. You can meet someone for the first time and know within minutes whether their energy is safe or not. You can sense a shift in your relationship days or even weeks before anything visible changes. This is not imagination. This is not paranoia. This is a gift that was wired into you from the very beginning. But here is where the problem lives. You feel something. You sense that something is off. Your gut tells you that this person is not being honest, that this situation is not what it seems, that the energy has shifted in a direction that does not feel right. And then you talk yourself out of it. You tell yourself you are overreacting. You search for logical explanations. You give the other person the benefit of the doubt because you do not want to seem suspicious or insecure. And almost every single time, your first instinct turns out to be right. Think back to every relationship that ended badly. Think back to every moment when you felt something was wrong but chose to ignore it. How many times did your intuition try to warn you? How many times did you feel the truth in your body before your mind was ready to accept it? This is the pattern that needs to break. Not because your intuition is unreliable, it is one of the most accurate tools you have. The pattern that needs to break is your habit of dismissing it. When you feel something, honor it. When your gut says this person is not being truthful, listen. When something inside of you whispers that you deserve better, stop drowning it out with excuses and rationalizations. Your intuition is not trying to make your life harder. It is trying to protect you. It is trying to guide you toward the love that is safe, genuine, and worthy of your energy. And every time you override it, every time you choose to stay in a situation your soul is telling you to leave, you pay a price. Not just emotionally, but energetically. You deplete yourself trying to make something work that your deepest wisdom already knows is not right. So here is the shift I want you to make. The next time you feel something, even if you cannot explain it, even if there is no visible proof, give yourself permission to act on it. You do not need evidence to validate what your spirit already knows. You do not need someone to confess before you allow yourself to trust what you feel. Your intuition has been trying to lead you toward better love for your entire life. It has been whispering to you in quiet moments, nudging you when something felt wrong, pulling you away from situations that would have caused even more pain. And every time you listened, you were grateful. Every time you ignored it, you wished you had not. That pattern is the proof. Your intuition is not guessing. It is knowing. And the sooner you start treating it as the compass it truly is, the sooner you will stop ending up in places where your heart does not belong. It is time you started following it without apology and without delay. Tip 4. Boundaries are not walls. They are the foundation of every healthy relationship you will ever have. If there is one area where you struggle the most, it is this one: boundaries. And I do not say that to criticize you. I say it because I understand why it is so hard for you. You are naturally wired to give. You are wired to care, to support, to show up for the people you love in ways that go far beyond what is expected. And that generosity of spirit is one of the most beautiful things about you. But it comes with a cost, because when you give without limits, people learn that your limits do not exist. And that is when they start taking advantage of you. Not always intentionally. Sometimes it happens slowly. They ask for a little more, then a little more, then a little more. And because you love them, you keep saying yes. You keep adjusting. You keep stretching yourself thinner and thinner until one day you realize you have nothing left. And then you feel resentful. You feel drained. You feel like you have given everything and received almost nothing in return. But here is the truth that will set you free. That situation was not created by their greed. It was created by your lack of boundaries. I know that is hard to hear, but it is the key to everything. When you do not set clear boundaries, you are essentially telling the world that your needs do not matter as much as everyone else's. You are saying that your time, your energy, your emotional well-being are all negotiable. And people will treat those things exactly the way you teach them to. If you give without limits, they will take without limits. If you say yes when you mean no, they will keep asking. If you tolerate disrespect because you are afraid of conflict, they will keep disrespecting you. This is not about becoming cold. It is not about shutting people out or refusing to give. It is about giving from a place of wholeness instead of a place of depletion. It is about knowing the difference between generosity and self-abandonment. A boundary is not a punishment. It is a statement. It says, I love you, but I also love myself. I am here for you, but not at the cost of my own peace. I want this to work, but not if it means losing who I am. And the people who truly love you will respect those statements. They will not push back. They will not guilt you. They will not threaten to leave because you finally decided to take care of yourself. The ones who leave when you set boundaries were never there for you in the first place. They were there for what you could give them. And the sooner you learn to tell the difference, the sooner your relationships will start reflecting the love you actually deserve. So start today. Start with something small. Say no to one thing you usually say yes to out of obligation. Protect 1 hour of your day for yourself and refuse to feel guilty about it. Draw one line that you will not allow anyone to cross. That is not selfish. That is survival. And for someone who has spent their entire life pouring into others, it might just be the most important thing you ever do. Tip 5. The right person will not make you chase them. They will meet you where you are. I want you to sit with this one for a moment because it is going to challenge a pattern that you have probably been repeating for years. You are someone who fights for love. When you care about someone, you do not give up easily. You send the extra message. You make the extra effort. You show up even when the other person has stopped showing up for you. And in your mind, that is what love looks like. Love is persistence. Love is dedication. Love is proving through your actions that you are committed, no matter what. And in the right relationship, that is absolutely true. But in the wrong relationship, that same energy becomes something very different. It becomes chasing. It becomes begging for attention from someone who is not giving it freely. It becomes working twice as hard just to receive a fraction of what you are putting in. And that is not love. That is an audition. You are performing for someone who has already decided you are not their priority, and no amount of effort on your part will change their mind. Because here is something you need to understand about love at its core. When someone truly wants to be with you, you will not have to convince them. You will not have to prove your worth through grand gestures or constant availability. You will not have to decode their mixed signals or wonder where you stand. They will make it obvious. They will show up consistently. They will communicate clearly. They will make space in their life for you the same way you make space for them. And if that is not happening, if you are the only one initiating, the only one planning, the only one holding the relationship together with both hands, then you are not in a partnership. You are in a project, and you deserve so much more than that. The right person will not need to be chased. They will walk toward you with the same energy you walk toward them. They will reach for your hand before you even extend it. They will ask how you are feeling before you have to explain that something is wrong. That kind of love exists. It is not a fantasy. It is not something that only happens in stories. It is what happens when two people are equally invested, equally available, and equally committed to building something real. But you will never find it if your hands are full with someone who does not deserve what you are carrying. You have to let go of the chase before you can receive what is meant for you. And I know that feels terrifying. I know that walking away from someone feels like failure. Every part of you wants to hold on tighter, to try one more time, to believe that if you just give a little more they will finally see your value. But that is the trap, because your value was never in question. The problem was never that you were not enough. The problem was that you were offering your everything to someone who was only willing to offer you their convenience. And that kind of imbalance will drain you slowly until there is nothing left to give. So release the grip. Open your hands. Trust that what is truly yours will never require you to beg for it. It is not failure. It is freedom. And on the other side of that freedom, the love you have been praying for is already waiting. Tip 6. Your past does not define the love you are allowed to receive. Stop carrying old stories into new chapters. Every Cancer carries a suitcase. Not a physical one, of course, but an emotional one. And inside that suitcase are the memories of every time love did not work. Every rejection, every betrayal, every moment when you trusted someone completely and they shattered that trust without warning. You remember everything. That is part of your nature. You hold on to experiences, not because you want to suffer, but because your emotional memory is wired to protect you. Your heart says, if I remember how this hurt, I can prevent it from happening again. And on the surface, that sounds reasonable. But in practice, it creates a cycle that keeps you trapped. Because when you carry the pain of your past into a new relationship, you are not protecting yourself. You are punishing someone who has not done anything wrong. You are looking at a new person through the lens of an old wound. You are waiting for them to hurt you the way someone else did. And that energy, that constant bracing for impact, makes it almost impossible for genuine love to take root. Think about what happens when someone new enters your life. Instead of being fully present, you are scanning for red flags. Instead of trusting their words, you are comparing them to someone who lied to you before. Instead of allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you are holding back just in case. And the person standing in front of you can feel that. They can feel that you are not fully there. They can sense that they are competing with a ghost. Someone they have never met, but whose shadow looms over everything. That is not fair to them. And more importantly, it is not fair to you. Because you deserve a fresh start. Every single time. You deserve to walk into a new connection with an open heart and an open mind. You deserve to let someone prove who they are without being weighed down by who someone else was. I am not asking you to forget your past. I am not asking you to pretend the pain never happened. What I am asking you to do is stop letting it drive. Let it ride in the back seat if it needs to be there, but do not hand it the wheel. Your past taught you lessons, and those lessons are valuable, but they were never meant to become life sentences. They were meant to be stepping stones, not prison walls. The love that is coming for you is not the same as the love that left. It will not hurt the same way. It will not disappoint you the same way. But you have to give it room to prove that. And the only way to create that room is to set down the suitcase. Not all at once. Not perfectly. Just one piece at a time. Start by choosing to believe that what is ahead of you is better than what is behind you. Start by giving the next person a real chance, not a test designed to confirm your worst fears. You have survived every heartbreak that came before this moment. That means you are strong enough to love again. And this time you are going to love from a place of wisdom, not from a place of fear. Tip 7. Stop dimming your need for emotional security. The right relationship will provide it naturally. There is a need inside of you that runs so deep it touches everything you do in love. It is the need for emotional security, not material security, not status, not appearances. What you crave at your core is the feeling of knowing, really knowing that you are safe with someone. that they are not going to leave without warning, that they are not going to change their mind on a random afternoon and walk away from everything you have built together, that when they say they love you, they mean it today, tomorrow, and the day after that. This need is not excessive. It is not clingy. It is not a sign that you are too dependent or too attached. It is a fundamental part of who you are, and it is one of the most valid needs a human being can have in a relationship. But somewhere along the way, someone made you feel like this need was too much. Someone told you with their words or their actions that wanting reassurance was annoying, that needing consistency was suffocating, that asking for emotional presence was a burden they should not have to carry. And you believed them. You started suppressing that need. You stopped asking for reassurance even when you desperately needed it. You stopped expressing your desire for stability because you did not want to seem needy. You pretended to be more independent than you actually felt, all because someone made you ashamed of what you naturally require. But I need you to hear this very clearly. There is nothing wrong with needing emotional security. In fact, it is the foundation of every healthy relationship that has ever existed. Without it, love becomes anxiety. Without it, connection becomes guesswork. Without it, you are not in a relationship. You are in a constant state of uncertainty, never knowing where you stand or how long it will last. The right partner will not make you feel ashamed of this need. They will fulfill it, not because you demand it, but because they understand it. They will send the good morning message without being asked. They will check in on you during a hard day without being prompted. They will tell you they love you, not because you questioned it, but because they want you to hear it. That is what emotional security looks like in practice. It is not dramatic. It is not performative. It is quiet, steady, and constant. And you deserve every single bit of it. So stop apologizing for needing it. Stop dating people who make you feel like your needs are a problem. Stop shrinking the most fundamental part of your emotional design just to make someone else more comfortable. The person who is meant for you will look at your need for security and see it for exactly what it is. An invitation to love you the way you were always meant to be loved. They will not see it as pressure. They will see it as a privilege. Because when someone truly loves you, making you feel safe is not a chore. It is a joy. It is the easiest thing in the world for someone whose heart is genuinely aligned with yours. And that is how you will know the difference between someone who is right for you and someone who is just passing through. The right one will make emotional security feel natural. The wrong one will make it feel like a burden you should be ashamed of carrying. Choose accordingly. And never settle for someone who makes you feel guilty for needing what every human heart was designed to receive. Deeply, consistently, without conditions, and without making you wonder if they will still be there when you wake up tomorrow. Tip 8. Forgiveness is for your freedom, but it does not mean giving someone access to hurt you again. This is a distinction that every Cancer needs to understand, because your natural compassion sometimes blurs the line between these two things. You are someone who believes in second chances. You believe that people can change. You believe that if you just love someone hard enough, long enough, patiently enough, they will eventually become the person you know they are capable of being. And that belief comes from a beautiful place. It comes from the same depth of feeling that makes you such an extraordinary partner. But it also puts you in danger. Because not everyone who hurts you has earned the right to do it again. Not everyone who apologizes has actually changed. And not everyone who says the right words after a mistake is speaking from the heart. Some of them are simply managing your emotions so they can maintain access to your life. Forgiveness is important. I will never tell you to hold on to anger or bitterness because those things will poison you long before they touch the person who caused them. But forgiveness and reconciliation are two very different things. You can forgive someone completely and still choose not to let them back into your life. You can release the pain they caused and still recognize that they are not safe for you. You can wish them well from a distance and still protect your peace by keeping that distance intact. The problem for you is that forgiveness often feels incomplete unless it comes with a reunion. You feel like if you have truly forgiven someone, you should be able to sit with them again, to trust them again, to open your heart to them again. But that is not how forgiveness works. Forgiveness is an internal process. It is about your healing, your peace, your ability to move forward without the weight of resentment dragging you down. It has nothing to do with the other person's access to you. And when you confuse forgiveness with permission to return, you end up in the same cycle. The same arguments, the same disappointment, the same tears. The same moment where you look at yourself and wonder why you keep ending up here. You end up here because you confuse letting go of the pain with letting go of the lesson. The pain can go. The lesson must stay. And the lesson is this: some people are meant to be loved from a distance. Some relationships are meant to teach you something and then end. Some chapters are meant to close not because the story was bad, but because continuing it would prevent the next and better chapter from beginning. So forgive freely. Let go of the anger. Release the need for revenge or vindication. But guard the door to your heart with the same fierceness you used to love the people inside it. Because that door is sacred. It leads to the most tender, most generous, most loving part of who you are. And not everyone has earned the right to stand in that space. Not everyone who knocks deserves to enter. And not everyone who left deserves a second key. Remember that. Let it settle into your heart until it becomes as natural as breathing. Forgiveness frees you, but wisdom protects you. And you need both to build the love life you deserve. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Tip 9. You do not need to fix anyone. Your love is not a rehabilitation center. This one is going to sting a little, but it needs to be said. You have a pattern. You are drawn to people who are broken. Not because you are attracted to chaos, far from it. You are drawn to them because you can see their potential. You can see the version of them that exists beneath the damage, beneath the defense mechanisms, beneath the walls they have built to keep the world out. And your natural instinct as a Cancer is to nurture that potential, to water it, to tend to it, to pour everything you have into helping that person become who they are capable of being. On the surface, this looks like love. And in many ways, it is love. But it is a dangerous kind of love because it puts someone else's healing above your own well-being. When you enter a relationship as a fixer, you are not entering as a partner. You are entering as a caretaker. And the dynamic that creates is fundamentally unequal. You give and give and give. You absorb their pain. You carry their burdens. You become their therapist, their motivator, their emotional anchor. And meanwhile, your own needs go unmet. Your own pain goes unaddressed. Your own growth stalls because all of your energy is being poured into someone else's process. And the hardest part is that most of the time it does not even work. Because here is the truth about healing. No one can heal another person. Healing is an inside job. It requires the individual to do the work, to face the pain, to make the changes that need to be made. You can support someone through that process, but you cannot do it for them. And when you try, when you take on the responsibility of fixing someone, you end up exhausted, resentful, and heartbroken. Because despite everything you gave, they did not change. Not because your love was not enough, but because their healing was never yours to carry. So I need you to shift the way you choose partners. Stop looking for potential. Start looking for presence. Stop falling in love with who someone could be and start paying attention to who they actually are right now, today, in this moment. Are they doing the work on their own? Are they taking responsibility for their behavior? Are they actively growing? Or are they just talking about growth while staying exactly the same? These questions matter. Because the right partner for you is not someone who needs to be saved. The right partner is someone who has already started saving themselves. Someone who meets you as an equal, not as a project. Someone who adds to your life instead of draining it. You have spent enough time trying to love people into better versions of themselves. It is time to find someone who is already becoming that person on their own. Your love is a gift. It is not a tool for renovation. And the moment you stop offering it to people who need to be rebuilt, you will finally have enough left to give to someone who is ready to receive it the way it was always meant to be received. Tip 10. The love you give to others must begin with the love you give to yourself. Everything I have shared with you today leads to this final truth. And it is the most important one of all. You cannot keep giving love away if you have none left for yourself. You cannot keep showing up for everyone else while neglecting the person who needs your care the most, you. As a Cancer, self-love does not come naturally. I know that sounds strange because you are so full of love, but your love has always been directed outward, toward your family, toward your partner, toward your friends, toward anyone who seemed to need it. And somewhere in that constant outpouring, you forgot to turn inward. You forgot that you deserve the same patience, the same compassion, the same unconditional acceptance that you offer so freely to everyone else. Think about the way you treat the people you love. You listen to them without judgment. You comfort them without conditions. You forgive their mistakes and encourage them to keep going. You believe in them even when they do not believe in themselves. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you treated yourself that way? When was the last time you forgave yourself for a mistake instead of replaying it in your mind for weeks? When was the last time you spoke to yourself with kindness instead of criticism? When was the last time you put your own needs first without feeling guilty about it? If you cannot remember, then this is where the real work begins. Self-love for you is not about bubble baths and affirmations, although those things have their place. For you, self-love is about making a decision that says, I matter. My needs matter. My peace matters. My happiness is not secondary to anyone else's comfort. It is a decision to stop abandoning yourself every time someone else needs something from you. It is a decision to fill your own cup first, not because you are selfish, but because you cannot pour from an empty vessel. And you have been pouring from an empty vessel for far too long. When you begin to love yourself properly, everything changes. Your standards rise because you realize you are worth more than what you have been accepting. Your boundaries strengthen because you finally believe that protecting your peace is not optional. Your relationships improve because you stop entering them from a place of lack and start entering them from a place of wholeness. And most importantly, you stop attracting people who take advantage of your giving nature because you are no longer willing to give at the expense of yourself. This is not a small shift. This is a revolution in the way you live and love. And it starts today. It starts with one small act of self-care that you do not postpone or justify or feel guilty about. It starts with looking in the mirror and saying, not as a performance but as a truth, I am enough. I have always been enough. And I am done proving that to people who refuse to see it. You have spent your entire life loving others with everything you have. Now it is time to turn that same fierce, beautiful, unrelenting love toward yourself. Because the standard you must keep in love does not just apply to how others treat you. It applies to how you treat yourself. And when that standard is in place, when you love yourself the way you have always loved others, the right person will not just find you. They will recognize you. They will see in you the reflection of everything they have been searching for. And they will stay. Not because you convinced them to. Not because you chased them. Not because you lowered your expectations just to keep them comfortable. They will stay because you finally became the kind of person who would never accept anything less than the love you truly deserve. Everything we have talked about today comes down to one simple truth. You were never asking for too much. You were never too sensitive or too emotional. You were simply looking for love in places that were too small to hold all of who you are. And now you know better. You know that your emotional depth is a gift. You know that half love will never satisfy a heart like yours. You know that your intuition is one of the most powerful tools you possess. You know that boundaries are the architecture of self-respect. You know that the right person will meet you where you are. You know that your past is a teacher, not a warden. You know that your need for emotional security is sacred. You know that forgiveness does not require you to reopen doors that should stay closed. You know that your love is a gift to be cherished, not a tool for fixing someone else's damage. And above all, you know that the love you give to others must begin with the love you give to yourself. These are not just ideas. They are the blueprint for the love life you have always wanted. And every single one of them starts with a choice. A choice to stop settling. A choice to stop apologizing for who you are. A choice to hold your standard high even when the world pressures you to lower it. You are a Cancer. And that means you were born to love deeply, to feel intensely, to connect in ways that most people will never understand. That is your power, and no one will ever take that away from you. The love you are searching for is closer than you think, but it will not arrive until you make room for it. By releasing what no longer serves you and embracing the truth of who you are. You are worthy, you are ready, and the best is yet to come. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.